Happy Wednesday, good people. Welcome to WWT Live. Today, I just wonder, is there really any such thing as a forbidden door? Doors are getting knocked down everywhere. I'll explain exactly what that means on the Wednesday edition of WWT Live.
I am your forever ROH Women's Champion, your fallen goddess, the Alpha, the Minion, Overlord, the ROH Gatekeeper. But most of all, I am the best in the world, Athena, and you are watching Women's Wrestling Talk.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.
Happy Wednesday, good people, and welcome to WWT Live as part of Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet. And you know it's going to be a good show when I got the day of the week right. Yeah, it's a thing. I am Gerard Bonner. They call me your professor, GB, Teflon G, whatever else you feel like calling me. And we're going to have a really good one today. A lot happens in the wrestling world in 48 hours. And every time you think you have the lead story, something else comes for a new lead story. You'll figure out exactly what I mean in just a little bit. But thankfully, I am not by myself. Got a great tag team partner hanging out with me. She gets it done, folks. She is indeed wrestling with honey. How are you, ma'am?
I'm doing fantabulous. I am so excited. I feel like every time I miss something, there's always something else that happens. Like,
Yes.
I missed one NXT post show, and all of a sudden everything's going crazy. Everything's running amok. It's great. I love it. But let's keep it going. It's the middle of the week.
Let me tell you, and here's what's funny. Boza might have a sixth sense here because he says every time they think they have the rundown done for WWT Live, something always happens at the last minute. That is literally what happens to us. Like that is not hyperbole. That is what happens. And so this is so that we literally bring you the latest and greatest news. I will give you all a quick heads up. If you did not catch the NXT post show this morning, when we are done with this show, go back and check it out for two reasons. Three reasons. One, it was a really, really good show. Two, you get to see the boss lady. And I don't know what happens when it's me and the boss lady, but there's always something that pops off. And I learn something new every single day. And yeah, just go see it. Dylan, if you haven't seen it, trust me, there's plenty of fodder for you to grab for some fun things. It was a wild one. We will somewhat touch on NXT a little bit today, but before we get into that and Dom and Liv and those things, there's a major story that is just broken. And I think it's so funny given the time of year it is. We generally call, at least in the last couple of months, or a couple of years rather, the month of June as kind of forbidden door season. And Forbidden Door has seemingly always meant AEW and New Japan. But over the last, really, I'd say 6 months, that is all just, for lack of a better term, gone to hell in a handbasket in the sense that the doors that we really want opened are being opened, and it's wild. So we already know about this partnership between WWE and TNA. It is still unfolding, but today, a completely unexpected move happened as this tweet came out from the good folks over at Pro Wrestling NOAH, who said that at this Sunday's big event that's happening in Yokohama, it's called the Yokohama Buntai event, there is going to be a major announcement, a joint announcement from Pro Wrestling NOAH and the WWE. According to their official website, they being Pro Wrestling NOAH, it says this is what the website says. This is what it says. Pro Wrestling NOAH and the world's largest professional wrestling organization, WWE, not my words, theirs, will make a major announcement at Abema Presents Grand Ship 2024 in Yokohama. at Yokohama Buntai on Sunday. They also announced on the Pro Wrestling NOAH X account that there will be a message from a certain wrestler that will be released. So these two big things are all happening this Sunday, Father's Day. And of course, if you're in Japan, you know, Japan is ahead of us. So really, it's going to be kind of like in the wee hours of the morning here in the States. So let's ask the question. Let's pontificate here. Pro Wrestling NOAH and WWE have worked together before, as recently as the top of 2023, when Shinsuke Nakamura went over to Pro Wrestling NOAH for their New Year's event to have kind of one of the final matches against the Great Muta as part of Great Muta's retirement tour. What on earth do you think is going to be announced involving Pro Wrestling NOAH and WWE?
I'm honestly baffled, perplexed. I'm shocked. I don't know what to expect out of this. I just know that in recent news or recent articles that I've seen, that Pro Wrestling NOAH, their next goal is to strengthen their relationship with WWE, which is very interesting. Considering that they've worked with every other promotion except for them. So I think this is definitely going to be something very exciting, something fresh and new. And WWE hasn't been in Japan since their house shows in like 2019, I believe. So this is going to be very, very big and major, because obviously we all know that Japan is one of the hottest places when it comes to professional wrestling. But I think this is just going to for what door? What door, guys?
Right.
What door?
Like,
there's clearly there's no more doors. I don't, it's just a bunch of windows and everybody's flying and spreading their wings and making their moves. Like, this is just amazing. I think it's absolutely amazing. Like, I'm just in shock. Like, seeing it all just unfold, and I'm like, goodness gracious, like, this is happening. This is all currently happening right now. Like, literally as we speak. Or already happened, you know. But there are deals being made, and there are things that are going to be coming that's going to make professional wrestling one of the hottest things for the summer in the longest time, in all aspects, and possibly, you know, more than one promotion. So I think it's just really exciting.
It's interesting. Sed is hanging out with us in the chat today, and he says that Nakamura NOAH run is loading, which I would not be mad at all. Boza has an interesting theory. He says, what if it's NXT Japan with Pro Wrestling NOAH being the home base? That's interesting for sure. Now, let's kind of help some people, because you know, when you think Japan, sometimes you might only think of one possible organization. Many have heard of New Japan primarily, but there are three primary wrestling organizations in Japan on the men's side of things, and that is New Japan Pro Wrestling, Pro Wrestling NOAH, and All Japan. Now, interestingly enough, earlier this year, there was a brief partnership with NXT and All Japan that sent Charlie Dempsey over there in a triple threat battle for one of their titles earlier this year. So this is interesting to see, again, WWE forging this relationship now with Pro Wrestling NOAH. We won't have to wait too long to find out. But this Sunday, we will know what this will mean. Could mean a lot of things. We do know that WWE is headed over to Japan this summer for a series of shows. I think it's 3 shows in total. So that should be really, really special. But there are a lot of opportunities that are really going to happen. Eddie asks an interesting question. He says, do you all think that AEW and WWE would ever work together? What do you think about that? Let's dig into that.
Do I think that AEW and WWE would ever work together? I think they could. I think they definitely could. I think it's just more of the fact of, would they? If you know, I'm not sure, but I don't see why not. I think they could.
I think I'll say like this: if left to the wrestlers, they would.
Yes.
If left up to the wrestlers, they would do it in a heartbeat.
Yes.
I genuinely believe, and for the sake of protecting TK and everybody, I genuinely believe that the holdup, and I want to say this fairly, I feel like the holdup is honestly Tony Khan. I don't even think Triple H is the holdup in this one. I feel like Tony
Clearly.
Khan is the holdup. I feel like Triple H is very interested in doing what's best for business. I think Tony Khan wants to be able to say that, hey, we've done all these partnerships and we led the way in this type of thing. But this is one of those things where you got to ask yourself, what is it better to get credit for? Being the inaugural one to do it or doing it the best? And I think it'll be interesting to see how WWE handles these partnerships, because there are a few other ones that we're going to talk about in a little bit. And I think it's just super interesting. We have to wait. I'm going to go on record and say this: whatever it is, it's going to be great. And the reason why I say it's going to be great is because just a mere 3 years ago, this wasn't possible. This was not possible. It was just pie in the sky. Now we're in a space where this could happen. And not only could it happen, it could mean a lot of things. And in my mind, all of these partnerships that are happening, this one with TNA, this one with Pro Wrestling NOAH, and whoever else might be coming down the pike, to me, and I hope people get what's about to happen. In my mind, this is all leading up to the most unbelievable WrestleMania ever. Because now you can actually have a WrestleMania with multiple promotions involved and represented, which is something that nobody can really say on that grand of a stage. So this is going to be just, yeah.
I need everybody to understand that we are literally in the WWE's Marvel multiverse right now. Like that's where we are. We are in a different world right now when it comes to the way things are done in professional wrestling. I think this is awesome and really, really I just can't wait to see what's next.
Yeah, I really can't. Let's go to some of these comments. There's some very interesting comments here. For one, Sed's answer to that question is no. And I also understand his answer. Boza says fake TK better step up his game for Forbidden Door after this amazing news. Yeah, he's got some challenges ahead of him on that one. Eric says Tony Khan is trying to be like Vince, which is a wild thing to say. And a wild thing to be like, actually. Boza says Tony Khan has a fragile ego. He wouldn't book WWE to go over. I'm surprised he's still doing Forbidden Door with New Japan, because on that show, New Japan doesn't go over well as winners. Boza, I will actually raise you on that one and say there aren't too many scenarios where someone non-AEW goes over anybody AEW, and it doesn't just wait to Forbidden Door. You can watch Dynamite and Collision every week, as we've been seeing. Here's the better question: when's the last person from CMLL? Who's the last one to win on an AEW show? Yeah, we can't name them, right? We can't name them. And to make it worse, when's the last time someone from Ring of Honor fought someone from AEW and actually won? Doesn't happen very often. It doesn't happen very often. Let's see. Eddie James says Tony Khan is doing what is best for his wrestlers. I don't know that that's accurate, but let's go to this one. WWE doesn't have a good track of playing with others. Look at the UK wrestling scene and ECW. And to that, Eddie, I would say, remember who was in charge at that time. And I think we need to redefine what is a good track record, because in terms of the UK, their partnership as part of NXT UK, they literally partnered with UK wrestling organizations like Progress, WXW, allowed those wrestlers to still compete in those organizations. And then once NXT UK folded, Not all of them, because some of them were released, but a number of them were able to come over to the States. That's one of the reasons why we've got Gallus, we've got Pete Dunne, we've got Tyler Bate. Of course, we have Gunther, we've got all of Imperium. The UK did not get totally railroaded in that. And in terms of ECW, this is where the history guy comes out. Vince McMahon, for all of the bad press he gets, kind of started this forbidden door with ECW, where ECW invaded Monday Night Raw when ECW was a full-fledged company. And of course, it came out afterwards that WWE actually put Paul Heyman on the payroll to help fund ECW while ECW was alive. So I can't say that they have a bad track record when it comes to these partnerships. They've actually done better than most. And that was in the Vince era. I wonder what will happen in this Triple H era, because look at the primary difference. In the Vince era, the most recent thing we got was Mickie James, who's a former WWE star, coming over to do Royal Rumble as the TNA or as the Impact Knockouts champion. Where in this era, we just had 3 days ago a TNA contracted star who has never been contracted to WWE bring her title onto a WWE PLE. That's history. And so we also have to remember that a lot of what we've known about the WWE, I don't want to say you can throw it out the window, but it can't necessarily be the measuring stick for how things are, because we are under completely new leadership, and all of the things that are happening, all the new things that are happening right now are a result of that new leadership. So I'm really, really excited about this and about what these partnerships could mean, because if WWE has proven anything, it's particularly under this era, they're going to do what's good for business. They're going to do what's going to make money. And again, I'm just chuckling that Pro Wrestling NOAH on their website called the WWE the largest and number one pro wrestling organization, which is funny because AEW, fancied themselves as being pro wrestling while WWE called itself sports entertainment. Well, WWE now calls themselves pro wrestling, which I love. This is why I love this sport. This is why I love this sport, because these are the things that are happening in this sport. So since we're talking about, you were going to say something.
No, I was just saying anything can happen.
Anything can absolutely happen. And so while we're talking about forbidden doors and the like, let's talk about this other thing, this other piece of news that happened earlier this week that was a major, major shock. Over in Marigold, a video pops on the screen during one of their big events. It's Io Sky, the former WWE Women's Champion, who issues a challenge to Utami Hayashida, and they're going to battle on July the 13th at the Summer Destiny event from Marigold. Again, another mind-blowing kind of thing that's going on. This is wild to see. And from what I understand, Hayashida had no idea that this was happening. So there's this video that's floating around of her watching the video in the arena with everybody else in a complete state of shock.
Wow. And
I love this. I absolutely love this. So this is going to be a really, really big deal. And I'm pumped. I'm pumped.
This is going to be big. This is a dream match for all dream matches, especially for the women in Japan. Like, this is going to be crazy. She's ranked number 15 of 30 best pro wrestlers under 30 last year. This girl.
Crazy.
And she's, I can't believe she's only 24. Like, this is, like it's going to be really, really good. I'm excited for this. And I'm excited for Io Sky. I'm excited for this, this whole, I don't know what to explain. Like I said, like there's just so much happening. I can't even fathom it all at once. It's just it's too much. It's too much.
This is awesome. Let me go to these things. Pete Dunne is so underrated. Yes, he really, really is. He's so
Oh yeah.
good. Dylan says, Professor needs a new name, the historian. That's kind. That's very, very kind.
Oop.
Eddie says, Professor, I love new things about wrestling, learning new things about wrestling I didn't know. Awesome. And I'm certainly here to help us with that as much as I can. Dylan says, I'm a little unsettled that Lily is just chilling on Honey's couch. She seems to like Honey's abode, and I don't know what that's about, but that's gonna be that's kind of wild.
Pay
EO
no
is going.
attention to the doll on the couch.
Oh Lord, yeah, that
Mhm.
always frightens me. EO's not going to hold anything back. You know what I like about this? This is what
Mm,
is so cool. What is so cool is, you've got Clash at the Castle this weekend, and a lot of the Scottish superstars are going to get their shine this weekend.
yes.
Um, I love the fact that we are in a world where the WWE is really a global brand. And when
Yes.
they head back to these countries where people are natives, that these are the people that get a chance to shine. So the fact that EO is going to get to shine in Japan. And let me also say this
In the
too. This
summer.
in the summer, it's going to be, oh God, it's going to be so good. It's going to be so good. One of the other things, and I think we can now credit Stardom and their partnership with New Japan for
Mhm.
raising the awareness of us in the States in terms of Japanese wrestling on the women's side.
Yes.
Um, before, the United States had the whole women's evolution, Japan had whole wrestling organizations just for women. Whether that's Stardom or a few of the other promotions that they have. So the wrestling business in Japan is alive and well, and a lot of things are happening. And I like that here in the States, we are now getting to become aware of it. And now we actually get to access this as well. So I know if you're interested in watching that Pro Wrestling NOAH event, you can sign up with Wrestle Universe. It'll stream live there. So you can check that out. And I'm not sure if Marigold streams over there or not. A lot of different organizations internationally do. So if you've got Wrestle Universe, check that out. But that is going to be
I think it
super exciting. Yes.
I think this is also really exciting for EO as well, considering the history behind, the whole Queen's Quest, and now
Mm-hmm.
Tommy's in the group and everything like that. Like I've
Yes.
I've seen I've seen a few clips, and I've read up on it, and I was just like, you know what? This is actually a really cool full circle moment. And like just when we were in limbo a little bit as far as EO Sky's championship run and where her career was going, boom.
Yeah.
They throw in
Yeah.
they throw in another freaking time bomb at us. Just here you go.
Right.
It's like Thanos snapped his fingers. Here you go.
And here we are. And this is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Mhm.
Continuing with, again, the fact that the doors are off the hinges and there's absolutely nothing forbidden. Jordynne Grace, a few interesting things are happening with Jordynne Grace. And I'll tell you, if we were making our 2024 predictions and we said that Jordynne Grace would be the face of TNA leading this partnership, I don't know that people would have doubted it, but I'm not sure we would have said, yeah, that would have been the one. We probably naturally would have leaned perhaps towards a Josh Alexander or, someone who had WWE experience at the time. But a couple of really cool things are happening with Jordynne Grace. One of the things happening with her is she's actually been doing mocap work already for WWE 2K25. So for those who don't understand what that means, obviously 2K24, big game franchise for WWE, video game franchise, has been doing very, very well. They have
That's
never had a sanctioned wrestler from another organization in their game. Now, they had Create a Player, where obviously you can do that, but they've never scaled an active wrestler in another company. So Jordynne Grace doing this work for WWE 2K25, yeah, this is going to be a problem, folks.
Like Like I
What
can't wait
else
for
is
this
gonna
game
happen?
already. Like this game was already still good, and I'm still playing it. By the way,
Yes.
I'm in my GM mode. I did the story mode with my little creative player, and now I'm doing the WrestleMania, the showcases. I'm up. I think I'm up to Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns' match in Hollywood. But
Mm-hmm.
Jordynne Grace in game mode is going to be absolutely sickening. Absolutely sickening. And not for nothing, when I first saw her come out at Royal Rumble, I'm like, yo, she needs to be in a video game. She needs to be in like something like that. Like she's just the final boss in the
Right.
video game to beat. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't wait. This is gonna be really good. If we already know that Jordynne Grace is gonna be in this game, who else from now until when this next game comes out is going to be on that roster? It's going to be insane.
So let me add some clarity before the people come after me. Um and perhaps this is a bit of foreshadowing. So the work that um she did some motion capture work. So that's definitely in there. She also did some work in terms of this My Rise situation. It was for Chelsea Green and JCJ. And the My Rise mode is the recurring mode in 2K where players can create a wrestler and play through with storylines. Now,
Mhm.
she's obviously not in position to be able to say that she's in 2K25. Um, but I'll say this. I don't know the last wrestler who has not been in WWE that did an interview that said that they did work for the video game.
Mm.
So
Mhm.
do with that what you will. Okay? Do with that what you will. Either way, it's a very good sign. It's a
Yeah.
very good sign. And it clearly means that a lot of cool things are happening. Jordynne Grace also said that she would love, and the wrestlers would love, some sort of Worlds Collide kind of pay-per-view with TNA versus WWE. Now, one of the things that she said, which I thought was a brilliant thing for her to say, is you can't do this all the time, right? So it can't be a space where every week we got somebody from TNA on WWE or vice versa, because then it gets old quickly and it loses the whole flavor of it. But
Mhm.
she would love for a TNA versus WWE pay-per-view. And to me, to hear her on an interview say that, yeah, they're not giving all the plans away, but I I can tell you this. I am sure that there are certain things that they are not permitted to say.
Yeah.
I'm
They
sure of
can.
that.
They can.
How close they get to the line is another question.
Mhm.
And let's see. Jeffrey says just signed Jordynne already. you know,
Seriously.
I definitely think she would be perfectly fit for WWE. There's
Absolutely.
also
100%.
something to be said about what she's doing in TNA. And so this is interesting. I read somewhere that allegedly her contract with TNA is up the first quarter of 2025. Does she make the jump? Who knows? And that's the other thing. Like so many things are just up in the air right now in terms
Yeah.
of how business is being done. You just don't know.
There's
Just
no
don't know.
telling. Like I remember years ago, we could predict anything that could have happened or who was on their way out or
Right.
who, you know what I mean? Like now we just, oh, okay. Go ahead. Go ahead. You
Yeah.
guys
It's
do what y'all do. Well, we're
it's
just sitting and
wild.
watching. We're sitting back eating our popcorn, waiting for the news.
It's absolutely wild. And so since we don't know who's coming or going, after Monday night, we tried to figure out, is this the end for Ricochet? Now, on Monday's show, we told you guys the news that we received over the weekend that it was apparent that Ricochet has given notice that he will not re-sign with WWE. So that made a lot of us wonder what would happen on Raw, since it was being reported going into Raw that this could be his final appearance, since there was nothing else scheduled for him. So how would this work? He wasn't scheduled in a match. We know there's been this interesting program connecting him and Braun Breaker and Ilya Dragunov. Well, we got a match with Ilya Dragunov and Braun Breaker, an amazing match, good Lord.
Oh
And
my
then at the
Lord.
end, Braun decided to try to keep beating up on Ilya, and Ricochet saves him. This lends itself to a battle that heads toward backstage. Things get wild enough where I felt, again, a WCW callback happen with Ricochet being lawn darted against the WWE truck. Then Braun Breaker goes up a couple of stairs with Ricochet on his shoulder and absolutely, positively puts him through the windshield of a car. Now, before I ask what's left to happen, we do know of at least one more appearance for Ricochet. That's happening this Friday as he defends his Speed Championship against Andrade. That will happen exclusively on X at 12 p.m. Eastern, so you'll want to tune in for that. But it was interesting. Ricochet ends up in the ambulance. What's even more interesting as we come back from the break is when Samantha Irvin comes to see about her man, joins him in the ambulance. They drive off. Who's going to announce the main event? Well, it ends up being Pat McAfee, turns into ring announcer. So I'll ask the question, do we see Ricochet again? And is this Samantha Irvin going to check on her man, or is she proverbially in the ambulance with Ricochet, not to be seen again? I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. All I know is when Samantha's sad, we're all sad. First of all, second of all, I'm still trying to wrap my head around the fact that he's not that they're saying he's not returning or not resigning, because it's such, like, people might not think much of him. There's a lot of a lot of people that speculate on his career and how much he's done, but I've always been a very good fan of Ricochet since he's been in WWE, and I've always loved watching him. He's always put on some entertaining moments. He's had a lot of great spots, and he's a good worker. He could work in the ring. He could do his thing. I just feel like there was moments where he needed to find his footing and things like that. No pun intended, being that he always lands on his feet anyway. But the way they are supposedly writing him off, I'm not sure if I am 100% behind that. And if there is one more appearance, which I'm hearing that there could be, do I think there could be? Absolutely. Maybe one more or a couple more as like, one-off or revenge or something. But I just feel like it's just being cooked a little too fast, and I can't thoroughly enjoy it. Even if he was to depart gracefully, I wish they'd do it in a better light where he could even still come out on top. Why do you have to just smash him through a truck? I get the homage to WCW and everything like that, but I'd rather, I guess it was right for also Braun Breaker, being that they're trying to build him as a heel as well. So there's a lot of different factors and things that go into it as to why I didn't really agree with it. But I feel like they could have just done a little bit more with this, because Ricochet is an outstanding superstar. I would hope that he wouldn't leave and maybe just go to NXT and enter that battle royal. That was the first thing I could think of when I heard Cody say that they're going to be from different locker rooms. They could be writing him off of Monday Night Raw. Who's to say he won't stay within WWE and possibly figure out some kind of way where he can do a contract where that works for him, and go at Trick Williams or be part of that battle royal to get to Trick Williams or something like that, or even North American Championship as well, like, being that he's won it before. Like, I just don't know. I feel like he should have more to do, or they should have more to do for him as far as the booking.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Firstly, so So I'll work backwards and say I genuinely don't believe that Samantha Irvin is leaving the WWE.
Oh,
Like
absolutely
I
not. That too. I
I
meant to answer that too. Yeah, she's
I
not going
don't
anywhere.
believe that at all. I
No
think
way.
you can be concerned about your man and leave to check on him,
Best believe
which is
it.
the right thing to do, by
Anybody
the
has a
way.
problem with that?
Yeah, I mean, like, if you watched your significant other get put through the roof of a car or through a windshield, I don't think you're gonna stay and keep doing your job. You're gonna find out
Hello.
what's wrong with them.
Mhm.
Um, I think Samantha Irvin provides something so significant to the WWE. She has put herself in a position that she could pretty much get whatever she wanted if that was a thing for her. In terms of Ricochet, and I've had this conversation quite a bit over the last few days, so forgive me if I'm repeating myself in this forum. But I think what we have to come to grips with is success looks different for everybody. And if you look at Ricochet's career in WWE, he has appeared in multiple WrestleManias. He's held the North American Championship, the Intercontinental Championship, the US Championship, the inaugural Speed Championship. Um, He's had an opportunity at the world title
Mhm.
on a Saudi pay-per-view. He had a marquee match
Yes.
at last year's SummerSlam against Logan Paul. He's been
Mhm.
put in some really good positions. Um, it's possible that, again, success looks different for everybody. Not everybody, for one, is going to become a world champion,
Mhm.
but not everybody wants to be a world champion. I think it's important for us to understand that, you know, not everybody wants to be the boss at their job. Not everybody wants to get a promotion and be the CEO or CFO or whatever. Some people are satisfied going to work, being an exemplary performer, and getting paid well. You know, um,
Mhm.
I personally won't believe that Ricochet is gone until I see him in another company.
Right.
That's just it. I mean, negotiations can come, he can change his mind, I'm sure. And I'd like to think that there's enough of a connection where they might give him a send off or at least give him an opportunity to say goodbye, even if it's not on camera, if
Yeah.
that's what he wants. Now, in terms of what he might be going to go do, there's a lot of rumors about potentially him and Osprey kind of running it back from what they did in New Japan. You know, that's up to him in terms of what he wants to do, but I don't think it can be accurately said that he had a bad run in WWE because that's just not true. He had a really solid run,
Yeah.
and he had multiple opportunities at accomplishing things. So it'll be interesting to see what Ricochet ultimately decides to do, but we'll see. We'll certainly see. Time will tell. And we know at least we'll see him one more time, which is this Friday on X, and perhaps he'll get an opportunity to get his look back somewhere between now and July. And there's talk that July is when his contract is scheduled to come to an end. So we'll see. From there, speaking of Monday Night Raw,
Mm.
a lot of people talked about this moment. Liv Morgan was very much in her "I'm gonna get you sucker" bag. Whether it was leaving a hotel key for Dominic Mysterio, or it was coming out during Dom's six-man match, and she's standing up there and Dom is standing on the outside, and she gets inadvertently knocked off of the ring and just so happens to land on Dom, who spares her from landing on the floor and perhaps busting out her knees. This image right here was quite the image. I want to ask this question. Does this image and this storyline tell us about the future of WWE programming?
The PGR is gone, in case anybody was wondering. Just so you guys know. I mean, I hope you guys would know, considering that we've seen our final boss beat Cody Rhodes to a bloody pulp in a parking lot in the rain. Okay.
Mhm.
And now we're seeing Liv Morgan making out with Dom Mysterio and seeing her sitting on top of him like this, straddling him. I'm just like, okay now. But
Yeah.
hey, it's a new era, and we're gonna keep saying it. And I think this is just the year of them letting us know this is the new era, and you're either gonna like it or you're not. But either way, this is the new era.
Mhm.
So that's what basically this image says about what the future of WWE programming and where it's going. Uh, I I don't know what's going on, hotel keys and all this stuff. But listen, does anybody know? I would hope. If anybody was really watching, does anybody know who took that hotel room key? Because I do.
So that hotel room key, which went missing, if you went back and watched the footage again, a certain Finn Balor took the hotel room key and quickly slid it in his pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they asked where the key was, nobody knew where the key happened to be. So Finn takes the key. Finn also has been the one trying to stop Liv from connecting with Dom. Honey, what's going on here?
I don't know. I don't know. It's some fishy. I smell something in the water. There's something going on. And you know what? Not for nothing. I think the real thing that was cooking, even if there's a story within a story happening here, because also
Yes.
what this moment did was create a moment for my girl, Miss La Muñeca LWO, Zelina Vega, to come in,
Mhm.
and she absolutely yeeted Liv Morgan off of Dominic and just started going at her. So this created this image, and you know, it says what it, you know, it's basically has a big statement in what's going to be going on in the future for WWE programming, as well as this storyline in itself. But it also created a moment for my girl. So shout outs to Zelina Vega for that one.
This is the beauty of this era of WWE's programming, the story inside the story inside the
Mm-hmm.
story.
Mm-hmm.
So let me look at a couple of these comments because the comments are interesting. Dylan says, allegedly, Professor, allegedly. And Cousin Ron, good to see you, says Finn blowing it up from the inside, teaming with Liv. What if Liv and Finn are in secret? So this is where we're going to have to go back and revisit some WWE television because
Yes.
we got to go back a couple of years to a
Yes.
moment where the Judgment Day was fighting Finn Balor,
And
AJ Styles,
and
and Liv Morgan. And Liv
Yes.
and Finn said, we need a plan to take down the Judgment Day. They said this backstage. And about an hour later, suddenly Finn Balor joins the Judgment Day.
Mm-hmm.
Could this have been a long-term plan all along for Finn and Liv to make good on what they promised a couple of years ago and blow up the Judgment Day from the inside out? Just
Absolutely.
throwing that out there.
But that's crazy. That's
If it
such
happens,
it's so bold. It's so awesome. And like if this is the goal that they're getting at, and I know the other long-term goal. First of all, I saw this long-term goal happening since Rey Mysterio and him were going at it. They're Dom. Everybody's gonna love this boy in a few years, if not sooner than that. I said it even when he turned heel. The moment he turned heel, I said the moment this kid turns back babyface, it is over for y'all. Yeah, and he's got the best amount of heat. He's the superstar. He's one of the best superstars to take the heat as well as he does, and he feeds into it. You know, when they shout his name and saying "F you, Dom," and he's just like this, and you know, he's just being a big baby, and he tries to talk, and you know, they don't let him talk. When the time comes, y'all are gonna love Dom and Liv, and y'all are not gonna forget about the man who never lost his universal title. He could go for some gold again. And you also have to think back. What was it if it wasn't this past week, it was like last week or the week before last week with Raw. But Finn Balor said something very interesting to Damian Priest, where he says, "It should be you and me out there, big man." And I'm not sure he was referencing a tag team. I'm very positive that that is not what he was referencing to. He meant it should be me versus you out there. And it's coming. It's coming. And like you said, Professor, in the group chat, you said it. Priest hasn't worn purple in weeks.
Correct.
So there's so many
This
layers
is-
to unpeel this from this onion. I'm telling you.
And I love it. I absolutely love it. And plus, right now, there's a percentage of guys who want to be Dom.
Oh,
Right now.
okay. That's how
Large
you get it
percentage of guys.
started. That's how you
That
get it
is
started.
exactly how you get it started. So let's go back to NXT last night because Wendy Chu returned, and she returned looking like this. She was a whole different animal last night. What did you think of the return of Wendy Chu?
I love it. I loved 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 it. She basically took lemons and made the best tasting lemonade ever with it, because those two lemons were her gimmicks that did not work out. And what she did was put up the mixture, put a little sugar in there, stirred it up, cooled it off a little bit, and turned it into some lemonade, because this was so good. This is basically, to me, the first thing I got from it when I saw her was, all right, this is the girl you don't want to wake up. First of all, this is the one you don't want coming towards you in that ring. I like this for her. She looks freakish all on with the makeup and everything done, even how her maneuvers are and how her antics are. I was really, really buying it. And it's basically, she took her two old gimmicks and put them together.
That's what she did. Yep.
And the way the crowd was chanting Wendy very eerily while she was like just swaying to it with her. I don't know how I felt about the music. I'm gonna have to see how that is again. I felt like it could have been a little bit different, but I'm here for this Wendy Chu. Because just when I thought it was gonna be given that 2.0 gimmick mess, I was just like, come on now.
Yeah.
But this is great, and I like this, and we need another threatening character like this in NXT for the women.
Yeah. I think it's also interesting, and Jeffrey makes a very interesting point here. Imagine Killer Kelly, Su Yung, Tatum Paxley, Rosemary, and Wendy in a match. This gimmick is very TNA. And if this is someone to deal with a Rosemary or a Su Yung in TNA or a Havoc, we got ourselves something. I also thought to myself, this is the Tuesday before the Monday that Uncle Howdy is supposed to unleash a massacre. And what if that massacre doesn't just stay in Raw or SmackDown?
I've said that here before, because QR codes have popped up on NXT before.
Yes, they have.
Previous weeks, like once or twice or three times.
They really have. So this is getting super interesting. Now, another thing that happened last night on NXT that had a lot of people talking, the WWE champion showed up, Cody Rhodes. Ooh. And he came with an announcement, but perhaps as big as the announcement was the request from the NXT champion, Trick Williams, who asked Cody Rhodes a simple question. The 4th of July is coming. Are you coming to the cookout? Cody Rhodes has officially been invited to the cookout. And if you don't know, I'm trying to think of how to explain the cookout. I'll have to do it later. It's too much for now. But needless to say, is Cody Rhodes going to the cookout?
Hell yeah, Cody's going to the cookout. Yeah, he's gonna come best dressed and all, suit and all, suit tie, all cufflinks, vest, chilling. At least, even in a barbecue, I think he would still show up looking exactly the way he looks in that picture. Not for nothing. Let's just appreciate this picture. This picture was amazing. To see Cody Rhodes and Trick Williams in the ring was amazing for me. And I was just
True.
like, this is big for Trick
It is big.
Williams. This is
It's
a big
very
moment. It's
big.
almost as good. I would say this image of them when they were both holding their titles up together, I feel like that image is almost as historical as almost as historical or on a level of, that type with, with the point of, with the big 3 point, this moment was pretty big for Trick Williams. And I don't think people would realize that, because this is the champion that won at WrestleMania 40. He beat the tribal chief. He finished the story, and now he is gracing us with the presence of leadership in NXT, and made a very interesting announcement about, people coming from other locker rooms for this 25-man Royal Rumble for the to be a contender for Trick Williams' title. And this is perfect. This is all to build Trick and build his run and give him the solid run that we know that he's deserved and earned in the last years that he's been in NXT. But hell yeah, Cody Rhodes is going to the Cookout.
If he goes to the Cookout,
and he's bringing Brandy and the baby too. They're coming. Everybody's coming.
Absolutely coming. I wonder if he goes to the Cookout, if he does this. Maybe. Don't know.
Yes.
Could be interesting for sure.
I'm here for it.
Could be very, very interesting. So now then, let's get to this. But okay, hold on, son. Don't. Live TV.
It ain't a true WWT live show without the little professor showing up.
It really isn't. So let's go buy some merch and I'll go see what he's talking about.
Hey yo, you. Yeah, you that's watching this. You sitting on the couch staring at the screen not knowing what you want to do like this is an online college. Are you tired of wearing shirts that make you look like an extra stuck in catering? Do you want to step your wrestling swag game up to the next level? Then Women's Wrestling Talk has got you covered. Like literally. Are you for life in pink or black and white? Or maybe you're the EST and people need to respect you accordingly. Want to put some pride in your stride and show off the muscle in your hustle? Then make sure you check out the WWT store. Not now, but right now. Alright? What you waiting for? Head to www.talkpodstore.com and don't make me fight you. Shit.
I say this after we get off the commercial every single time. And please, I beg of y'all, please do not make her fight you. Go check out that merch on www.talkpod.com. Make sure you get some of that merch. Check it out. Let's go to some comments since we're waiting on Professor while he attends to our favorite little professor in the house. Let's see. Jeffrey says Cody better bring some drinks. I'm sure he would. Javon says he would rock the polo shirt. Let's see. Jeffrey I thought we was getting Trick Williams versus Cody Rhodes for a second. You know what? For a second, I thought so too. I definitely thought so. Dylan says, I heard Little Professor. Yep, Little Professor has summoned Professor. So here we are. And then he's back. Yeah, little Professor promo time.
Let me tell you something. Everybody needs a 5-year-old who loves everybody and who will just go to the door and almost answer at any random time. So,
oh my Lord,
boy, it's beautiful. So I want to get into this episode of Who Killed WCW. This series began last week on Vice, and I know we talked about it here in terms of what would we learn about WCW that we didn't know. Okay, last night's episode I think was super interesting for those who watched. If you did not watch, it was dealing with Goldberg, the streak, and kind of the things that were going on in the world of Time Warner and the firing of Eric Bischoff. Listen to me, guys. This is some great stuff. Great stuff. Now, before I get into my thoughts, honey, I'm not sure if you had a chance to check this out yet. Have you checked out any of the series as of yet?
I didn't check out last night's episode, but I have seen the first episode.
Okay.
This is last night was the second. Am I correct?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. The first one I got to see. I can't wait to see this one because, when they talk about Goldberg, it gets real interesting. I have my reservation, my personal reservations about Goldberg. It's like a love-hate thing.
Well,
But
you're gonna really appreciate what they have to say.
oh, okay, cool.
It is. I will say this. We know, for instance, how Bret Hart feels about Goldberg, and we
Oh,
know
well,
why Bret Hart feels the way he feels about Goldberg.
about Bill Goldberg.
They got into that last night. Yes, Bill Goldberg, not Goldberg, Bill Goldberg.
That's the way Brett says
But
it.
to hear Nash talk about Goldberg, to
Mm.
hear several others talk about Goldberg, and then to hear Goldberg talk about himself, it put things in a very different light.
Ooh.
And I will say this. They talked about, gosh, I wish I had a clip to play. They talked about that infamous kick that happened.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And I will just tell you guys a little of this. Bret Hart said that before the match, he basically told Goldberg, well, no, let's back up because this is important. During the U.S. title match that happened between Goldberg and Scott Hall when he won the U.S. title
Oh, yes.
that
Okay.
night at the Georgia Dome,
Mm-hmm.
there was a moment in there where there was a spot that Goldberg like completely fumbled. And Scott Hall says to him, okay, what was that? And Goldberg's like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing.
Huh.
40,000 people, and you don't know what you're doing. Bill Goldberg was told for this match against Bret Hart. Bret Hart said, listen, follow me. I'll make sure everything's good. And he didn't. And Goldberg on camera, his explanation for the kick is, A, I didn't mean to hurt anybody, but B, you should have protected yourself. That's what Goldberg said. Now, I want you all to watch it in its entirety so that you know I didn't take anything out of context. But this is very interesting on a lot of levels. I've maintained, they talk about who Goldberg was patterned after, and some might be surprised because it may not be who you think. It wasn't who I thought, that's for sure. They talked about how Goldberg actually got in the business. And then what the overall attitude was about Goldberg in WCW.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, this is really, really, really good to see. So if you get a chance, by all means, it's must-see TV. Check this out. You will learn a lot for sure about what happened in those WCW days. And to me, it's just so interesting because one of the things that they said, and it was said by multiple people, Goldberg handled wrestling like he handled football. So his spears and his tackles were very intense and very, very, like he did not attempt to protect anybody.
Yeah.
And that can be problematic.
That's dangerous.
That could be very, very dangerous. So by all means, check out Who Killed WCW, available certainly on demand on Vice. I'm not sure if they will put this episode on their YouTube channel as they did episode 1, but it's worth checking it out however you need to check it out. And I almost think it's worth us doing a mini series on Who Killed WCW because there's a lot of theories from these 2 episodes. And personally, I don't think it was just one person.
Oh, absolutely not.
It was a series of events.
Yes.
And apparently week 3 gets into Vince Russo.
Oh, God.
Good Lord.
Can't wait.
Good
Can't
Lord.
wait. It gets better. It gets better by the episode.
It gets better. So, all right. From there, let's get into AEW Dynamite tonight. Should be a really solid show. We've got a couple of weeks before we get to Forbidden Door. We'll hear from the world champion Swerve Strickland tonight, Of course, the main event will be his opponent at Forbidden Door, Will Ospreay, defending the international championship against former international champion Rey Fenix. This ought to be an interesting match for sure. Win or lose, Ospreay is going to Forbidden Door. The question is, will he go with the international championship or not? We'll see Roosh in action tonight on Dynamite. And then we'll see Mercedes Moné having a TBS title defense. Yet another title defense for Mercedes Moné. This is 2 television matches in the last 3 weeks. And we hadn't seen her on TV in 2 years. Tonight, she takes on Zeuxis. Zeuxis is the tag team partner of Stephanie Vacour. So if Zeuxis is able to win this match, she will take the TBS championship to CMLL, and Mercedes will just fight for the New Japan title at Forbidden Door. We probably all know differently, but that's what we are told the stakes are tonight. This is an interesting match that came out of Collision Saturday night. Dustin Rhodes offered a challenge to Jack Perry. It's a TNT Championship qualifying match. The winner will go on to fight for the TNT Championship at Forbidden Door in a ladder match. Dustin Rhodes against Jack Perry, and everybody is barred from ringside. Is Zeuxis from WWE? No, she's from CMLL. She's from CMLL. And then we'll also see a trios match. And this might actually be okay, let me just say this first. Trios match. Got the ROH World Champion Mark Briscoe teaming with Kyle O'Reilly and Orange Cassidy. They're taking on the ROH World Television Champion Kyle Fletcher, Roderick Strong, and Konosuke Takeshita. It sounds to me like at least someone from Ring of Honor will win on AEW television tonight. So that should be fun. Will it be the world champion? Will it be the world television champion? We'll find that out. I also believe that Mark Briscoe, and I challenged my own self because I said, when was the last time someone from Ring of Honor won on AEW television? He won a qualifying match to enter the ladder match for the TNT Championship. And I'll just briefly say, why is a world champion fighting in a qualifying match for one of your mid-card championships? Things I don't understand, but so be it. Either way, that trios match is happening tonight. All of this is going down on AEW Dynamite. A couple of other things before we get out of here. Firstly, happy birthday to this guy, Mark Henry. Mark Henry has been the talent scout for so many. His eye for talent is incredible. What he has done has been amazing. Special Little Nobody's asked what happened to Kyle Fletcher's tag partner. He's out on injury. Mark, I forgot his last name. I'm sorry, but he's been injured. So that's why Kyle Fletcher has been doing a lot of singles action, because he's out on injury. But yeah, I'm so excited for Mark Henry and all that he has contributed to the pro wrestling space, and he continues to contribute in so many ways. So happy birthday to Mark Henry. And in fact, in case you did not hear the big news that we released on Monday toward the end of our show, but we are very, very excited to welcome a brand new sponsor to Women's Wrestling Talk. And in case you did not know, sponsors are very, very important. They really help to further the mission and the ability to carry out what it is that we do. What we do does not come cheap. And so when you have people who believe in your vision, it makes all the difference in the world. So we welcome on board our newest sponsor, All Caribbean Wrestling. We're super excited to have them on board. And of course, they've got a massive event coming on June the 29th. It is Baja Bash from the Grand Hyatt Baja Mar in Nassau, Bahamas. This is going to be insane. Mark Henry will be there. We'll also see Patrick Clark, Kenny King, Maserati will be there. The heavyweight champion, Elijah Pope, he will be there, as well as Cassandra Golden, Lindsay Dorado, the New Nation, and several others. In fact, where did I see this at? I saw that Cassandra Golden will be defending the FEW Flares Championship against Mia Friday. which I'm excited about. Mia Friday has done quite a bit of work in Mission Pro, in Reality of Wrestling. Also did some work at Ashe as well. So I'm very, very excited for that match. Vanessa Craven, who was part of the Mae Young Classic, she'll be challenging Maserati for the All Caribbean Women's Championship. This is all happening at Baja Bash. So very, very excited about
Love
that.
that.
If you guys want more information about everything happening with All Caribbean Wrestling, head to their website, allcaribbeanwrestling.com. Or, of course, you can check out them on the socials, particularly on YouTube, where you can check out a lot of the matches that they have had from several of their big events, including Philly Mania, which happened during Philly weekend. Honey was there for that. The WWT crew was there. It was a lot of fun. So great, great things are happening with All Caribbean Wrestling. We are super excited to have them on board. Honey, how can the people find you on these good social streets?
You guys know where to find me. You can find me here Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays for an extended period of time, especially here on Women's Wrestling Talk. We have WWT Live. And then Friday, I got the Honey Smackdown, 8 o'clock. Wednesday mornings, NXT post shows. And you could also find me on my socials, Instagram Wrestling with Honey, TikTok Wrestling with Honey, Facebook Wrestling W Honey, and subscribe and like the new YouTube Wrestling with Honey podcast.
Absolutely. Let's see. Jeffrey says he saw Mia Friday on Reality of Wrestling. Yes, she has been there. And you like her and Promise Braxton. That's awesome. Promise was a part of Ashe 3 back in April, which maybe sometime between now and next week, we should go through that Ashe card, because that Ashe card is massive, including, we've talked about the main event being Shelton Benjamin and Jonathan Gresham, but they're going to have a mammoth women's tag match between the current NWA women's tag team champions, the King Bees, and Fire and Flava, which, good Lord, guys, just the history
so good
in that match alone is special. So we'll be talking some more about Ashe 4, which is coming up next weekend. But you can catch me at Bonnerfied across all of the socials. Lots of things happening in my world, so you can definitely check that out. Some cool content on the socials that you guys can check out as well. So if you've not checked out any of those videos and that content, please do that. Feel free to comment and join in the conversation. Commentary work everywhere, including a brand new show from Southern Honor. It is now on IWTV. That show happened Friday. It is now there, so you can check that out. Some fun moments there, as well as with IWE. On YouTube, you can check me out with The Nightmare Factory. We've got another show coming up, student showcase coming up at the end of the month, so I'll keep you guys posted on that. Along with Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling, All Caribbean Wrestling. You can check me out with Ashe Wrestling at AsheWrestling.com. And again, for me, June the 22nd, you can catch me at Ashe Wrestling. June the 29th with All Caribbean Wrestling Baja Bash. July the 6th, also with All Caribbean Wrestling for the Jam Slam in Jamaica, Kingston, Jamaica. And there are more things that are coming, a lot more that's coming. We'll be talking about that. Here at Women's Wrestling Talk, some really cool interviews for you to check out, including a brand new interview with Kalia Capri. She's formerly of NXT. She is now part of All Caribbean Wrestling and WOW. So you guys can check her out. A brand new interview available at wwtalkpod.com. Make sure you're following us on all of the socials because we've got a lot of great things happening there. Shout out to all of you hanging out with us. Jeffrey, Special Little Nobodies, Cousin Ron, Dylan, Eric, Eddie, I saw you in here as well. Let's see, Javon Gatewood, good to see you. Also saw, of course, Said the mayor, he's here. And everybody else that's been hanging out with us today. We greatly appreciate you. Remember, go back, check out that NXT post show. It's available right here wherever you're watching us. And lots of other great content coming. We've got our Thursday night rundown coming on Friday where we look at TNA and Ring of Honor. We'll be back here for WWT Live on Friday. Until then, this is Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet. Peace.
Thanks for joining WWT. Don't forget to like us on all social media platforms at WWTalkPod. Like and subscribe on all video and audio platforms. Like yesterday, my G. And check out our website at wwtalkpod.com. Thanks for watching Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling network on the planet.